Ahoy Maties, welcome to the seas. This is Damron. In this video we're covering the Pirate's Life Tall Tales that just came out. There's 5 new Tall Tales in this adventure, and you can begin any of these at any tavern. You're going to see this new structure on the beach, and it's going to have all of the books for each Tall Tale kind of up on these shelves on this wall here. So as always, we're going to get right into it. We're going to cover the complete commendations. We're going to get everything, including all of the journals. I'll try to have everything time stamped, so if you're looking for a specific thing you can check there. Also with the journals, as opposed to the original Tall Tale guides, I will be doing these throughout these missions, as these are a little bit more linear and some of them can actually be missed, and so we're gonna just kind of get them as we go. Nonetheless, for the first Tall Tale, A Pirate's Life, you're gonna talk to the castaway on the beach, and eventually she's gonna open up this portal for you, this green portal. You can't miss it. It's going to be at any tavern, okay? There's no specific tavern you need to be at. You can begin this at any tavern, and this, portal will be located very close by, so you're not going to be able to miss it. So let's go ahead and sail right through there, and you're going to find yourself in the Sea of the Damned. It's cool. It's a really eerie kind of picture. You're not going to be able to do anything in here, so don't really worry about that. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to try to keep these as spoiler free as possible, so we'll advance here a little bit, but there are some things to see as you go on that little trip there, and you can't really control your boat, but eventually you're going to come out on the other side and you're going to be at the Strange Shores, and at the Strange Shores you'll now be able to control your boat again. You can actually sail out into the distance and eventually you'll just hit like an invisible wall, but you really just want to go up to the island that's directly in front of you. You'll see a hollowed out ship hull, and you're going to know that you're in the right place. You're just going to kind of advance into the island here, and these are the statues that are the checkpoints in the new Tall Tales. So when you pass those, you've reached a checkpoint in the Tall Tale per se. So moving forward, we're going to enter this cavern system, and we're going to go into a cave, and we're going to find a bonfire with this kind of nice green, flame of soul's fire, and we're going to be using this throughout some of the Tall Tales in this story. So go ahead and put that on your lantern, and you're going to see 2 lanterns to light to the left of this door and the right of this door. Light those, and now we can go through this doorway into this cavern, and it's very linear at this point. And these particular Tall Tales, compared to the originals, don't have as much variability in them, but they do have side missions, so to speak. So when we get to the next cavern, you're going to see a skeleton with a seagull in his pirate hat that you need to light that lantern. To the left of the door is a skeleton. You need to move his arm up and light that lantern. And to the left of him, if you go down this cavern, you'll find a broken rowboat with another lantern that you can light in the back of the rowboat. Once you've done that, you can head back into the cavern, and these ghost pirates are going to be nice, and they're going to pick up this door for us. So let's go ahead and follow the path a little bit further. We're just going to skip ahead. It's very linear. Again, just shortly after this, eventually you're going to come to this scene here where you're going to see some pirates kind of drinking, and you may see an act of betrayal here. You're supposed to take the right path up here, but before we do that, if you look to the left and go behind this waterfall, you're going to see a broken rowboat with an oar in it. We're going to need that oar handle. God, can you imagine dying to an oar handle? Oh my God. You're going to need this oar handle, and we're going to take that all the way to the top of this path, and we're going to create our own lever so that we can open the door and proceed forward. Alright, so once we've gone through that door and we're progressing into the cavern again, this is a very linear part. You're just going to be jumping over some gaps, kind of making your way. When you get to this waterfall right here, don't worry if you do fall off, it's okay. You'll just be kind of at the bottom, and you'll have to climb your way back up. But you just want to walk straight across the top of that waterfall to enter this large cavern. And this first dock on the left is going to have a lantern that you can light, and when you light it, you're going to see a ghost rowboat with some ghost pirates on it, ready to get on their own adventure. So head up a little bit from that. Here's going to be a anchor capstan that we need to raise, and that's going to lower this drawbridge here right in front of us so we can kind of cross this gap. And what we're actually doing, we're meeting this rowboat at the end, all the way in the distance there. But once you go across that drawbridge, go ahead and interact with this pulley, and you can pull a little platform up that you can jump on here, and we're going to follow this path all the way to the end of this dock, and there's going to be another lantern that we need to light. And it's not a race. It's not like you need to get here and light this before the rowboat does. In fact, if you don't, if the rowboat gets here first and you're not here and then you light it, they'll just appear. It's not a race, and you can actually come light this one first and then go back and light that one if you're worried about it. But again, eventually that drawbridge is going to lower, and that's really all we wanted. We wanted to get into the drawbridge and then progress on. And then eventually you're going to come to this gap that you have to cross. There'll be a ladder on your right. Again, this will be just shortly from where you were. You're going to have to go up the cavern. But go up that ladder and you're going to see a little rope that's thin right in the middle. You can actually cut those. We're going to have several of those throughout the Tall Tales now that we can actually interact with and cut and change things like this, which has created this bridge that we can walk across. And now we can interact with this pulley and bring the mast with the capstan across the way so we can use that in order to get to the other side. So that's pretty cool. And generally in these Tall Tales, when there are those things that you have to interact with, there's going to be an armory, so you can always grab a sword or a pistol or whatever you need in order to get past that. So you're going to have another one there that you're going to cut down, and eventually we're going to lead to a nice cool water slide that we get to slide down. It's going to open up into Sailor's Grave. This is a really cool, I thought this was nice to see, kind of eerie looking, but very cool. Nonetheless, we're going to head to the right and go down this dark pathway, and down into this area you'll see these braziers light up, and you're going to go up the stairs and light the brazier that's at the top of those stairs, and that is going to allow us to enter Sailor's Grave in this Tall Tale. So the first thing that we're going to do when we enter into Sailor's Grave is we're going to kind of progress in. You're going to be like, well, what do I do? Just kind of walk down this path. Take note, on the right there is a bridge over there that you can see, but it's broken. That's actually kind of the side quest in here for us to get 5 journals. We're going to go there later, so don't worry about that. But the first thing that you're going to see is up kind of in these mass crossing is the cursed captain in this cage, and he's going to ask you to help him get out. And if you just look to the left, you know, we'll skip all that dialogue, you're going to see these stairs that you can take, and that's going to take you around the back end of this beached ship. And now we can go up and we can use these masts to cross the way, and then we're going to go up to the bow of the ship and jump into the water, and we're going to cross all the way in the water to the other side. And when we get here, we're going to see a little platform that has a pulley we can interact with. We're going to use that pulley to take us up to the next level. Look in front, there is a door. We're going to come back to that later, but that is something that will be part of the Headless Monkey Shipwreck quest. But anyway, for now, raise up this other pulley and jump across, and we're going to get to this pulley which interacts with 2 platforms, and leave them about right where I have them right there. Okay, you don't have to pull them all the way across. But before we go all the way across, when you jump on the first one, if you look to the right, you can see this little cave, and so jump in there. And to get Captain Bones' special recipe, we're going to need that later in order to get all the things we need to make it to the Headless Monkey Shipwreck. So now we can head up to the mast where the cursed captain is. You can just drop this bottle down. It shines really bright. You can't miss it. But now jump exactly where he is, and you're actually going to see another one of those strings that you can cut, and it's going to basically make him fall. You can actually light it on fire too. I wanted to show you. So if you get really close to it, it'll say that you have to ignite it with fire. So you could actually use your lantern and burn it, or you can just swipe it with your sword, whatever you want to do. So once you've done that, if you jump down there and listen to what he has to say, what he's going to tell you is now you need to get him a key to get out of this cage. You've got him down, but now we need a key. So let's go ahead and get that started. So if we progress just shortly up the path and look to the right, you're going to notice this tavern, and that's where we're actually going to go get the key. We're going to do a lot of things in there going forward, but beforehand, go to the left and you're going to see this chessboard. Go ahead and put Captain Bones' special recipe there. We're going to come back to that later, but we're going to do a lot of things with that chessboard. But now once we go into the tavern, which is just across from that, if you go to the second level, you'll see a pulley that you can interact with. If you interact with that pulley, you'll be able to lower the chandelier where you're seeing that shiny glimmer and go down there, and that's actually going to be the key that we need in order to let the cursed captain out of his cage. So now that we have that key, we can head back to him and let him out, and he'll kind of talk to you for a little bit. So if you want to listen to that dialogue, feel free. But at the end of that, you will then be able to pick him up and take him around with you throughout this level. And the first thing he does after you pick him up is he tells you to take him to the lighthouse. So that's what we're going to do. So you can see the lighthouse up in the background. It's kind of destroyed, but it's very noticeable. You can't miss it. And there was a bridge here that you couldn't cross prior to having him, but once you have him here, he will tell his ghostly friends to raise the bridge for you, and you will be able to progress on. So go ahead and make your way up to the upper level of the lighthouse, and you're going to see two skeletons sitting in chairs. One of them, ironically, is Headless. So we're going to be able to place the cursed captain's head on that skeleton after a bit of dialogue, and eventually what he's going to tell you as he sits here is that you need to light these braziers in order for the ferryman to bring the ferry of the damned into this area. So he's going to tell you to go up to the top of the lighthouse, and you can light the brazier that is at the lighthouse, and that's going to give it the light that it needs. The wheel on the left is going to move you left and right, and the wheel on the right is going to move you up and down. From the position that it was in, just go ahead and move it all the way left, and from that position you can hit the two lower braziers that are out in the distance, and then move your light up and then to the right and hit the third brazier, and those are the three that you need to light in order to advance the story. So now we're at a point where we're going to collect a ton of the journals, and we're going to do the side quest to get to the shipwreck. We're going to do a lot of things here. So if you're not interested in that, look in the timestamps and you can skip past all those journals and get back to the story if you want. The first thing you want to do before you leave the lighthouse is turn it all the way around and angle it at these sails that are to the right of the cursed captain sails, which is the red ones. So you can see those are the white ones to the right of those, to the north, kind of by northeast. And I'm putting the light right on those sails, and that's going to be so we don't have to make our way back here later. And then the first journal that we're going to pick up, Strange Yet Familiar, is up on the lighthouse as well, just on a bookshelf right near where we put the cursed captain's skull on the body. So when we're done with that, we can head back down to the bottom of the lighthouse. We're heading back to, this is where we dropped the cursed captain to begin with. And if we head back to the tavern and chess area, again, this is where we dropped off Bones' special recipe. We're going to go ahead and drop the skull off there too. And just to the left of the chess table is our next journal location. From that journal, we're going to head into the tavern, so just across the way. Again, this is where we got the key to release the cursed captain from his cage. For this time, we're going to head to the top deck. On the way there, you will notice this captain's table with a candle that you can light. You'll see three pirates discussing a treasure location with an X marks the spot that is actually located on the island that you're at right now. So keep in mind about that. That's going to become important a little bit later, but nonetheless, if you turn around from that captain's quarters, you'll find our next journal on the table on the deck of the ship. So now we need to find Dougie, and if we use that map that we just saw in the tavern to go to that X marks the spot, it's actually behind the cursed rogue's ship. So if we actually walk all the way back there, so I'm just going to kind of take us all the way back there real quick, and what you'll see is a pile of dirt with some gold, like a gold trail leading away from this pile of dirt, like a treasure has been looted from here. And if you actually follow this extensive trail of gold, which is like, man, whoever took this really had a bunch, because they weren't caring about all this gold they dropped. But if you follow this path of gold, it's going to lead you to this dock that's a little bit east of the lighthouse, and then you're going to find another pile here. And if you dig on this, you will actually dig up poor Dougie himself, and you can light the lantern that is beside him, and he'll tell you his story and ask you to find his treasure and bring it back to him, and he will share the spoils with you. So from Dougie, we're going to kind of take care of that, as well as getting the next Tall Tale book, because it's kind of in the same area. But if we head back to where the cursed rogue, where we dropped him down from the mast, again as a point of reference, if we're looking back to where we came and kind of veer off to the left, you're going to see this path that kind of goes around to a separate room back here. You'll open this door, and our next journal is right here on the right, on top of this dresser. Now, in this same room, we're going to do the steps that we can do to find Dougie's treasure. In fact, if you look on the map that he's holding on the bed, you can see it is a map, and he has a magnifying glass. Well, there's not really anything that we can see in that yet, but if we open the blinds by using that pulley, and we go up the stairs and light the 3 lanterns that are on the outside of the upstairs portion of this room, so there's 3, 1, 2, and then 3, and then if we go back down to that bed where he's laying, we'll actually be able to move his arm, and then we can look through the magnifying glass, you know, just normally, or with your spyglass, and you'll see another X marks the spot that looks like it's just in front of the tavern. So here we're going to go back to the tavern, and again you can see the tavern sign up there, and in between this rock and the stump is Dougie's treasure. Now keep in mind, I showed you how to find this, but you don't actually need to go through those steps. The X marks the spot doesn't change. You can actually go right there and dig that chest as soon as you get here. Nonetheless, when you do give that chest to Dougie, he's going to get up, he's going to be happy, and he's going to give you a key and allow you to open the chest, in which you are now going to have Dougie's medallion. Now that we have the medallion, we have the cursed rogue head and the spices, we can play a game of chess to its completion to get our next item that we can get for the Headless Monkey Shipwreck kind of side quest. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to light this candle. The 2 skeletons are going to play for a little bit. Eventually you're going to be able to put your spices into the mug, which I guess didn't taste very well. And after that happens, you're going to be able to put the medallion down, and that's going to be your wager to let the cursed captain play this game of chess, in which he will win, and you will now have the ship key. Now, I just want to mention, you know, I would recommend you get these journals when I do, because if you progress too far in the story, the rogue's head, you know, the cursed captain's head will no longer be available to you. So you need to do that before, you know, where I did it. You don't want to progress too far and not be able to get it. Nonetheless, once you have this key, now we're going to progress on. This is the same way that we went when we had to knock the cursed captain from the mast of the ship, and I said pay attention to this room. Now we can unlock this room with the key that we got from the chess game. There is some gold in here that you can pick up. It's not a lot, but you know, it's free, so feel free to take all that. But the real reason that we're here is if you kind of go through the door onto the deck of the ship, you'll be able to interact with these sails, and you can angle them. So we're going to angle the sails, and we're going to basically angle them forward, and what we're doing is we're giving a line of sight between the lighthouse and a brazier that is behind us. This is why I told you to point the lighthouse at those sails earlier. So now it's boom, it's automatically lit. If you didn't point the lighthouse at that brazier, now you're going to need to go back to the lighthouse and shine the light on that brazier in order to light it. But if you were following my guide, it should all be set up for you. And now that you've lit that, we can finally go to the Headless Monkey Shipwreck sort of side quest in this Tall Tale, which is cool because all of the Tall Tales actually have these little like side missions that you don't have to do, that are actually pretty unique compared to the original Tall Tales. So that's pretty cool. But this one's going to be a shipwreck. It's going to have some cool music to it. And when you get here, we're going to have 5 journals to collect that we will grab really quickly because they're all pretty close by. But the first one is going to be up by the helm itself, by the dead captain. You can find this journal right there by the wheel. Go ahead and pick up that key that skeleton's holding, and we'll need that to get into one of the rooms. But the mast just in front of the helm is going to have another book sitting right there on the ledge of the mast. And then if we drop down into the dirt, the middle mast is going to have another journal right in the dirt, right in front of it. So once you've read those 3, we can go around the back side of the shipwreck and interact with this door here with the key we found. And when you open that door, your 4th book is going to be right there on the captain's table, so you can read that right behind that dagger. And then just to the left of that is a bookshelf with our 5th and final Crew of the Headless Monkey journal. Alright, so once we've done all that, we're finally ready to progress on with the tall tale. So go get your cursed captain's skull wherever you left it last. If you do leave it for a long period of time, just keep in mind sometimes the game will actually put his skull back into the cage that you dropped off the mast. So if it's not where you left it, be sure you go and check there. Nonetheless, now you can take his skull to his ship, and if you place it on the skull that's outside of the ship on that skeleton, he'll open the door for you, and now you can kind of progress into his ship. And this is a linear path. You're going to have to go this way, so it's hard to miss this final journal, but I want to show this entire path just if you're clicking on that as in the comments just for the specific journal. When you head to the Cursed Rogue's captain's quarters, if you can place the skull on him, it doesn't change anything, but look to your right, and right on this bookshelf is our final journal of this tall tale. So the Cursed Captain's going to talk to you for a little bit. Eventually he's going to give you a key that you can use to open the door that is just behind him. So go ahead and do that, and if you take this door through his ship, you're going to see a bunch of treasure that you can't pick up and you can't take with you, but there's going to be a rowboat on the back that we can drop off the back of his boat, and now we can row to the Ferry of the Damned that came in when we used the lighthouse to bring him in to Sailor's Grave. So sail over past the past the lighthouse and just to the left, and you'll see the ferryman up here, right here. This is such a cool experience to be on here, but he's going to talk to you for a little bit, eventually set sail. But what you need to do in order to progress is light the Well of Fates with your Flame of Souls, and that's going to blow up the middle of the ferryman's boat, and you're going to be able to go inside, which is so cool. And we can go inside, and to the left you're going to see a lantern that you need to light in order to open this door. When you go into this cabin, you're going to have a lantern to your left, and you're going to have one to the right behind that sarcophagus lid. You actually have to move the lid in order to be able to see it and light it. But once you do that, again, you'll go down the next set of stairs in order to rescue our prisoner.
Come to Jack and get the bone. Good boy. I know what you're thinking. That dog is never going to move. Therefore, I propose a wager. Let us see if I can lure him over. Then you can take the keys from his mouth and let me out. The winner gets a delicious bone.
Alright, so once we freed our new friend, you're just going to make your way up to the top of the ship. He is a ghost, so he'll kind of vanish in and out. But once you get to the top, I'm not going to ruin all the story elements for you, but he's going to have a conversation with the ferryman, and then, eventually you're going to have to do some fighting with Davy Jones. But just kind of keep shooting him. It's more of like a story kind of experience. The game will eventually introduce you to the ocean crawlers that are going to be new. You're going to have a poisonous one. You're going to have one that can electrocute you. It's one with the eels on it. The poisonous one kind of creates a cloud around it if you're too close. And then finally is going to be a large ocean crawler that if you get too close, he does like a slam attack that'll actually deal like 70% of your health away. So they're pretty strong, but as long as you keep your distance, obviously they're easy. But nonetheless, that's actually going to be quite a long battle. You're going to spend quite a bit of time fighting that battle, and eventually you're going to be talking to the ferryman, and he's going to say he's going to allow you to go back to the Sea of Thieves. All that part part is linear. I don't want to ruin it for you, but essentially that is going to be it for the first tall tale, as well as the side quests and all the journals. So hopefully this helps you get all your commendations. I'm going to be rolling all of these out pretty quickly, so hope you found it helpful, and hopefully I'll see you on the seas.